I feel like relationships are definitely a God-given thing. And to find yourself in a space where you can have other women who understand where you come from, where you're going, I think that's a superpower.
We usually lead from our experiences at times, and that can also be hard because depending on if you've had it easier or if you've had it tough, then you are leading from that point. And that's what I have found most females lead from that.
There's a part of female leaders where I wouldn't say something dies, it morphs into something else, where there's that moment where you become a really amazing female leader to a point where we don't care about your gender, you're just a leader.
I think of recent, it has been the ability to be vulnerable. And I've been very intentional about it. I think I found that a lot of times as women, we want to gather in times of joy, laughter, want to go out for drinks and, portray this great life that we are having. But there's an element of being vulnerable that brings out your ability to be there for each other in ways that you would have never been there for each other if you didn't have the insight. So I've been very intentional about being vulnerable in the relationships that I'm in of recent. And I think it's really brought out a beautiful aspect of the sisterhood and the community that I find myself in.
It has to be grace, patience, empathy. I say this because should those have not been in place, I'm pretty sure that my friends would have, I don't want to say cut me out, but they probably would have moved on, especially over the years, how life and time, and not just only for me, but for them as well, has become so essential in our lives and stuff that we prioritize on a daily basis. It can be very hard to make time to have even like a 30-minute chat or an hour chat. So those three components are what's keeping my friendships, my circle of sisterhood, and what keeps us going.
Allowing each other to evolve and expand, sometimes pause, and being really open and honest with each other, especially when things are not going okay, or you need time to sit in the space that you're in because either you're mom, wife, working, family, there's a lot that we need to do. So offering each other that grace to say, handle what you need to handle, don't feel bad. We live by reels and memes just to make sure everybody's okay. But when you know that you have a moment to have that phone call or send a message, send an SOS sometimes, then people will show up.
I don't think they're overrated. I think it's that people haven't found the right set of friends, and whether it's girl friendships or boy friendships, right? We have also seen even in other male settings where you find that there's good friendships and there's a brotherhood and people are able to hold each other accountable. They're able to have societies where, or rather a scheme where they buy properties together or for one another. It's actually finding people who not only have the same values with, but even being different and unique in your own ways, that you're able to have something that brings that common ground.
They haven't found the right set of friends. I think it's so necessary to have that community of women. Yes, it's a sisterhood, but I think it's such a special sort of fellowship when you are with women who are in different age groups in terms of generations, different backgrounds, and to be able to lean on their knowledge and their wisdom, but their experiences as well, and be able to also share yours and be able to ask questions and be vulnerable and share wisdom or laugh or be like, oh my word, today this is what happened. Am I crazy? And be like, yeah, you're crazy. Or take a pause, take a beat, calm down. Like, why are you freaking out so much? Or why are you playing yourself so small? Why are you shrinking? Having those people to challenge you. And I have a few girlfriends who will ask me, be like, but why are you still playing so small? Why are you letting everybody else kind of tell you what you need to do, who you need to be? And it's that consistency of having people show up for you, but also be able to do the same for them.
I feel like relationships are definitely a God-given thing. And to find yourself in a space where you can have other women who understand where you come from, where you're going, they are able to step into your shoes almost. I think that's a superpower. The Bible speaks about X sharpening another X. So there's an element where you move from just friendship into a place where you can be destiny helpers, where you can keep each other accountable, where you can remind each other of who you are in the Lord and what you are here for. Because as we journey through life, there's always elements of lows and downs and highs. So I appreciate having that sisterhood in these areas in my life, especially during those seasons of lows.
I will give leeway to say, do your thing, make magic, be amazing. And then I think sometimes I learn a little bit late to kind of be restrictive or give boundaries. I've learned that over the years to say, go be great, but within certain spaces you need to kind of like follow a certain style, the methodologies. It's hard sometimes as a creative to go out there and be like, make magic, be amazing. I mean, like, okay, wait, but still, there's a guidebook. Stick to the guidebook. Encouragement. Like, I think a lot of us want the encouragement. You want to give encouragement. I think it's hard also then when you need to give feedback and making it constructive, because I'll always worry so much about how it lands with the other individual, because you don't want to harm. You want to give that constructive feedback and ensure that the other person responds and receives it in the spirit that it was given, which is to nurture and help you and grow. And ensure that the next person and their next experience in their evolution of career growth, they really, step into that. So I'm still learning it. But yeah, I want to be nice. But sometimes you can't be nice. You just have to be like bold and blunt and go in there, take no prisoners. And I think it's important, and I've seen it in leadership, where it's a case where you know that you're going into a war, but when you see your leader in that space with you, they're really like they're fighting the fight with you. It's encouraging and it's amazing to see, as opposed to seeing a leader who's like at the back and they're like shouting instructions like, yeah, no, go left, or, go keep the fighting spirit. You want to see your leadership in the space with you. So that's what I'm learning to do as well. So
there's this whole concept that, women are emotional. I've come to a place where I realized that as a woman coming into the workspace, the element of me being emotional comes with who I am. And so I've learned to embrace every aspect about me as a woman. I think there's so much power when you understand that you're not a man. You're not like men. You don't lead like them. You don't even have to lead like them. You can fully be a woman. So in the beginning, having to come to that place was not as easy, because you try to hide certain elements about you. You don't want to come across in a particular kind of way. You don't want to come across as though you are, you have emotions, you embrace your emotions. But having come to a place where I can fully embrace what it means to be a woman and be comfortable with it as something that I've grown to love.
I love teaching people. I love sharing information. I love seeing people being their like the best version of themselves. So I'll forever give that out. So that's my leadership style, right? However, I've realized that how it showed up at work and at home was so different. With those I was comfortable with, whether it's friendships or family members, if I've told them something and then they don't follow my instruction, and then, a few hours or days or whenever, you find that they end up doing something, I'm like, yeah, but I told you so. And in the work environment, it was so different. I found that because I was such a teacher and overachiever, I found myself being an enabler of people not doing what they needed to do. It's like a self-afflicted burnout, right? I'm then trying to take up so much because someone has decided to slack there, someone has decided not to do that, someone has decided that no, in fact, yes, there's a campaign, yes, there's an event happening, but I'm not gonna work overtime. And you find that because I'm such a teacher, then I allow that burden to be on me and on me alone. And I end up just burning myself out and being so frustrated, trying to withhold a team that they wouldn't do the same for me. So one of the blind spots that I had to realize is my teaching leadership style can be so extreme that I can allow people to be enablers. And you find that the work ends up being done by me. So I had to literally just pause and be able to know that even myself, and hold people accountable that this is your task and this is my task. And when they haven't done their task, let them answer for it, really.
It's not easy to lead people. In general, people are difficult, are challenging. They come with so many different aspects, different backgrounds. And obviously when people come to a space, whether it be in work, whether it be in ministry as a pastor, they coming with their lived experiences. And those lived experiences always determine how they act, they speak, what they say, how they respond. But one thing that I've learned is that every human being has God-given potential in them. And one of my greatest things that I aspire to do is to help people realize this potential, walk in it so that they can fulfill God's purpose concerning their life.
One of the lessons that I've learned is let me not take it personal if people don't give in their 200% like I would, right? Because like I said, we are different journeys. However, it is making the team aware that for this specific task, for this business task, we're going to have to come together so that the business that we are all here for is going to make profit. Setting, can always be eliminated.
I think choosing how you want to lead, what kind of leader you want to show up as, but also what kind of leader you sometimes wish you had. And not necessarily in terms of the warm, fuzzy feeling, but that you want to be challenged, you want somebody to really push you to ensure that you grow and you kind of dig out those special gems about yourself, because everybody's got something about them that helps them lead, helps them grow, helps them motivate other individuals. But sometimes we want to kind of stay safe in the rankings and think that a leader looks like X, Y, and Z. Meanwhile, there's so many things about yourself that you possess in terms of qualities that you just need to refine and be able to say, this is who I am, this is how I can lead, this I can show up. What I don't know, I'm willing to learn, and also be able to have people build you and encourage you. And sometimes also tell you that, okay, hang on a second, improve this area of your life or improve this particular part of your leadership style, because it's not a one size fits all. And even people in your team, they are also so different. And leadership isn't necessarily people looking up to you, it's also peer-to-peer leadership. And I think that's also really, really powerful.
It's a privilege that most of my career journey I've been led by females. The best part is them being relatable to me. I think because they look like me, therefore my guard is down, because I'm like, oh, well, the boss, the leader looks like me. They're also female. But what I've also found in some of the female leaders that I had challenges with is based on sometimes, even though, yes, we are both female, but you find that we are not in the same season in life. One of the leaders was older. They had kids in varsity, some were even working, and I was literally a new mom. And she just couldn't understand. I think for her, she was like, why are you taking so many leaves? Why do you have to leave early? Why must you rock up late? I just don't get it. You're not the first person to have a kid. It was as though she had forgotten how that season is like. The other instance is I've had a leader who, had 2 kids, 2 under 2. And literally, they fully understood. They fully understood that when it's school holidays, I take some leave and they are fully okay with it. At some days that go, no, you don't have to stay here. And once you've done what you needed to do, you can go home. So we usually lead from our experiences at times. And that can also be hard because depending on if you've had it easier or if you've had it tough, then you are leading from that point. And that's what I have found most females lead from that.
I've had plenty of female leaders. I think the best part, it's twofold. The best parts have been how you see strong female leaders really do their thing. They show up, they work, they push. And I think the other side of it is a case of, because there's so much more pressure as a female leader, especially in industries where it's predominantly male and where other females are looking at you and they're like, is she going to do it? Is she capable? Is it possible? So there's that extra pressure and that thing that says, I can't fail at this. The scary part is that because it's so highly pressured, I feel like there's a part of female leaders where, I won't say something dies, it morphs into something else, where there's that moment where you become a really amazing female leader to a point where we don't care about your gender, you're just a leader. But then there's also that other part where you become your own worst enemy. And in that, there's a level of toxicity that comes with it. And that's dangerous and it's a bit scary to witness. Even for myself, in those moments when I see it happening, I'm like, ooh, that's something that can either change me because it hurts me and the cut is so deep. Do I become that to somebody else? And I feel like there's that split second where you choose. Do you harm or do you nurture and grow whilst still being tough?
I think the best part would definitely be the fact that it's somebody who understands what it means to be a woman. I think being in the corporate space, there's a difference between being a woman, leading as a woman or leading as a man, or whatever role you're fulfilling. When you come in as a woman, there's so many different elements that make up who you are. So having somebody who's been in your shoes, who understands your journey as you're journeying towards growing or desiring to grow into leadership, into management, or whatever the case might be. I've realized, though, it's not all women who are leaders who are able to provide that experience or that understanding that they've also, been women. They are women and they are walking a similar journey or have walked the journey that you are walking. But I think that has been the greatest part. Understanding that this person understands what it means to be a woman in the corporate space.